All right, welcome parents and students to the No Value Care series here at ASIJ. My name is Ryan Hawk. I am the AP coordinator, a health teacher of these wonderful students here. On the side of the room here, we have our counselors, our safeguarding coordinator, and our No Value Care committee. And we would like to start I think this is the second session of No Value Care this year. It's on healthy habits and stress management. So these students in front of us are grade 10 health class, and they will be sharing what they've learned in the studies that they've researched, and then some advice for our parents. So we will start with Michael.
Hello everyone, we are the grade 10 health students, and we'll be presenting about the knowledge we've learned about mental health and how it affects the students at ASIJ. So to start off, what is mental health? The CDC says that mental health is everything that affects our emotional, psychological, and our social well-being. And the ASIJ students say from all across the grades that mental health is how we think about ourselves and our lives. Poor mental health can negatively affect our physical health. It will poorly impact our relationships and our schoolwork and a lot more. And our mental health impacts those around us. So one person's bad mental health will negatively affect everyone around them.
I just want to start off and say that as a kid, you don't really know what mental health is and what it means, but like once you look back, you can really tell what in your childhood did affect parts of your mental health growing up. And I have two younger brothers, one who is a year apart from me and another who is 6 years apart from me. And since my brother was born only a year from me, my parents were practically taking care of twins because, you know, we're both infants and it's really hard. So I grew up with a lot of stress and chaos in the house, and looking back, I've always wondered why I can get stressed so easily and anxious. But I guess from this health project, I've come to a realization that it's because of the environment I grew up in. And I'm not saying that I had a bad childhood at all, but this feeling of stress and chaos in the house since childhood has brought an impact on my mental health as a teenager, and my partner, Arissa, will get into that and how it works and what I mean by that.
Okay, hi, my name is Arissa, and I'll be talking about a study on parent stress levels. I took a study from Child Care Health and Development, which focused on the effects of parental stress on children. So survey results from 903 families concluded that the parental stress affects the child's negative emotionality, but not vice versa. Overall, because the way a parent uses stress reflects on the child, we recommend to establish clear and attainable routines, model positive social behaviors, prioritize you and your child's mental health well-being, and to do that, you can lead into supportive and reliable relationships, exercise and spend time in nature, and share healthy eating habits. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and I'll be talking about an example of breakdowns and tantrums. So kids have different ways of dealing with their emotions. So are we talking about tantrums in specific? So according to the Child Mind Institute, children have tantrums because they have difficulty regulating their emotions. And sometimes it's to get what they want, and sometimes it's because they are more sensitive to changes or to their own feelings. And this can lead to impulsive behaviors such as hitting, kicking, screaming, that kind of thing. Here's my advice. So one thing is to attempt to regulate the child's emotional response to different situations. And this is called dysregulation, where a person has an emotional side and a rational side. And what happens to children often is that their emotional side takes over their rational side. One thing that you can do to help your child is to help them understand their own emotions. Do not shelter them from having these negative emotions. And another thing is to practice validation. Tell them that feeling these emotions are okay and that negative emotions aren't always bad. And and those are the things that will help you grow. One thing that you can do that seems to work very well is to have the scale, like the emotional scale. So, for example, you could ask your child on a scale from 1 to 10, how are you feeling right now? During, before, and after the tantrum, and to help them process and work through their own emotions.
So just to recap what the elementary school team talked about is our emotional, psychological, and social well-being are all parts of our mental health, and the stress and overall emotional health or mental health of parents do and reflect onto children, and children can be taught self-regulation and important emotional traits such as patience and validation through helping them with tantrums.
We'd like you to think and talk to the person next to you about what you think you could do to relieve stress and to share that time with your child, and which piece of advice resonated with you.
So this time, parents, if you want to turn and talk about these 2 questions, we'll give you about 5 minutes, less than that. And we will resume with you.
So now here's the advice to the parents of middle schoolers. As a former middle schooler, I remember when I first transitioned to middle school in sixth grade, right? You know, in elementary school, you have all this like relaxation time, but once you go to middle school, you suddenly have to do all this work and you get all these homework, and you're not used to it. I wasn't used to it, so that was what caused me a lot of stress then, and anxiety, and also it was a new school and the systems, and that's another factor. So as in the middle school team, we'll be talking about how important are sports and activities, and how can parents help students with their executive functioning skills.
I'm gonna be talking about an assertiveness study done with tennis. So a study took around 160 kids, several genders, the amount, and they put them into tennis camp for around 16 weeks. And from before they started, they took a test on their assertiveness and stress levels. And so on the graph, you can see that's the bar on the left. And then after the tennis camp, that's the bar on the right. So their assertiveness went up and their stress levels went down.
Another study conducted to support the fact that sports participation brings long benefits was a study in Korea conducted in 2016, aimed to find a correlation between sports participation, internet addiction, and self-control. And to conduct this study, they surveyed 345 Korean students aged 15 to 18 from two middle schools and 2 high schools, and they asked them about their sports participation, like time, intensity. They also asked them about internet addiction, usage, like how to procrastinate for internet usage. And as a result of the surveys, they found that sports participation had a correlation with reduced internet addiction mediated by self-control. And the study saw sports participation as a direct causation for regulated self-control. And this proved that sports participation not only can help in internet addiction, but can help treat other addictions or mental problems such as nicotine abuse or substance abuse.
So I'll be going over the 3 studies that were conducted on the benefits of physical activity and exercise. So one study was conducted in 2018 that proved that depression can actually be resolved with sports activities and physical exercise. Another study conducted by the CDC in 2020 showed that young people with mental health disorders found it easier to cope with stress because of physical exercise and activity. And a final study showed that students with active lifestyle have much better sleep schedules and found it easier to cope with stress than students with sedentary lifestyles.
And so as a conclusion of these case studies that we've showcased, we'd like to give you parents some advice. And so the main point would be to encourage your child, your student, to
participate in an activity or sport, either be inside school or outside school, whatever conditions you may need as like time, accessibility, price, whatever it is, please encourage and get your child to join something, as it brings along many benefits as we just showcased. And when we do say encourage the joining of such activities, make sure you're not forcing anything onto them, and make sure they're pursuing their own interest and passion rather than just doing something they were told to by their parents.
And of course, you want to watch out for overprescription, right? So you don't want to make them more stressed when you're trying to reduce the stress levels, right? So also a choice thing, right? Doing something that they want to do to get those stress levels down and get the happiness up.
I'll be talking about mental support, so if you guys ever wondered, am I causing stress for my child? It's most likely yes, maybe not. Like expectations of your child's grades or how they behave, and maybe even their future, can increase their stress. But the support of you guys, your child's stress level will decrease. Parental support is also critical for mental health difficulties, bullying situations, and even enacting coping strategies. So your advice could help them with their stress levels. This is a quote from the National Library of Medicine: school-related pressure and parental support affects the predictors and student stress levels from early to middle adolescence. So my advice to you guys would be to not leave your students figure it out on their own. So if they need help, you should not only help them and support and guide them. So if there's like a situation or if there's like an important decision they have to make, you guys should like state out the pros and cons so they can see what the better option could be. Be there for them all the time. The poor grades isn't like that much of a big deal if you really think about it. So just don't think about it and just support them instead of just like belittling them for having like a C or a B. Talking and supporting is much better than yelling, because if they're yelling at you, or if you're yelling at them, then they're just going to be scared and their stress will definitely go up to them. And you should ask open-ended questions to find out what is happening and what may be causing their concerns or issues, because the situation or what might be happening might anger you, or maybe they think that it will anger you guys. So they might not be more open to telling you, which, because if they think that you guys are going to get mad at them, their stress levels definitely going to go up. So be more open-minded about that.
I'm Sarah. I'm going to be talking about a study based on executive functioning training. And executive functioning is the action of organizing your work so you don't become overwhelmed and stressed. And basically this study from the University of Texas at Dallas' Center for Breakdown wanted to compare the effects of executive functioning training by assessing scores on this state-mandated standardized test called the State of Texas Assessments of Academic Readiness. And this is quite similar to the standardized test that we have at ASIJ called the MAP test that the middle schoolers take. Basically, the results of this study show that the cohorts of students who received this executive functioning training not only showed improvement in their school readiness, but they also showed improvement in their standardized testing results and executive functioning skills. My advice to parents is to recognize bad executive functioning and for good executive functioning, maybe show some distraction-free study spots for your children and make schedules to help manage their time. And then you can also teach them executive functioning skills to help them with school and stress.
So overall, the middle school team's advice is to encourage your kids to participate in sports and activities either inside or outside of school, but be careful not to force them into activities more than they can handle, and leave them some free time. And as parents, you can help your kids with executive functioning skills, and also make sure to be with them and talk to them whenever you see your kid struggling.
I want you guys to talk about if a student can be too busy and what executive functioning skills are the most important.
So again, this time, turn and talk to a neighbor. If you want to talk to someone new, find a new neighbor, or answer these two questions. And we'll resume here with Kenzo.
Hello everyone, this is Kenzo. So I would like to share like a personal anecdote regarding like mental health high school students. So this is a picture of me and high school and boys volleyball team. So as like Kaito, Austin, and Rio previously stated, sports could be a major release of stress. However, for my case, it was also a major source of stresses to balance some academics and sports at the same time, especially with the varsity level practice like at least 4 or 5 times a week. From this learning, I learned that like it is really important for you to enjoy the sports itself, but also to keep in mind the balance of sports, academics, and your personal life. So for this presentation, we'll be covering what does sleep have to do with mental health and stress, and how does stress impact students.
Sleep is a major factor in our everyday life. It affects our stress, mental health, immune system, and many other factors. Studies have shown that the majority of high school students are stressed. A study conducted by New York University has found that 50% of male students and 60% of female students feel a great deal of stress on a daily basis. This could be due to your child not getting enough sleep each night.
So, according to a study conducted by Cornell University, teenagers should be getting over 8 hours of sleep every night. However, over 70% of students in the U.S. don't get enough sleep. And according to the study, students getting over 8 hours of sleep have a higher attention span, improved academic performance, and better mental health. On the other hand, students getting less than 8 hours have a higher risk of obesity, or mental health problems, and attention problems.
So I looked at this study published by the American Family Physician called The Relationship Between Adolescent Academic Stress and Sleep Evaluation. The study comprised 757 people aged 12 to 18, and they performed self-report questionnaires over a series of months, and the researchers found that better quality sleep was directly correlated with reduced burnout, reduced depression, and higher academic performance. So you can see just how critical sleep is to work in school and mental health.
So some advice that we give to the parents is to make a plan with your child about how they can get the 8 hours to 10 hours of sleep that they need, so they can be productive for the school day. You should talk to your children about where they're keeping their phones, because that is a main item that people use at night, that the kids use at night, and they will be on their phones all the way up till 12 a.m. Watching TikTok or doing other social media. 30 minutes before bedtime, they should be off their phones. They should have finished their homework, be ready for the next day, so they don't have, so it's not causing them any stress, so they can sleep well. And yeah, so reducing their stress levels before bed, that will be making sure that everything's ready for the next day, whether that's their sports bag, any other materials that they need for school, and staying off their phones. Why they are staying up late, that could be due to homework, studying for a test, talking with friends, whatever, but they should really be trying to get to bed sooner if they have to. If you guys have to come up with some sort of plan, whether when they get home they do their homework and studying, and then they have some phone time, or they get home, they can relax on their phones and then do homework an hour or 2 hours before bed, but making sure that they have that 30-minute time before they go to bed will help them get a full night's sleep.
These are the top student stressors provided by the verywellmind.com, which specializes in providing recommendations about wellness and mental health issues. And I think these apply to our ASIJ students as well, as we are quite academically rigorous school. Therefore, all of these apply to us, especially school and extracurricular activities. These are the common systems of stressed students, and this study was provided by the ASIJ.com, and it stated that 25% of the students reported that they felt fatigued and they were eating less.
and 31% of them felt overwhelmed and anxious, which could lead to other mental health struggles such as depression, which 30% of them reported, and which reported that they had a loss of interest in past passions and lack of zest in their own life.
Hi, now I will be talking about advice on coping mechanisms and their personal impacts. So as a new student at ASIJ this year, my stress levels have increased by a lot. And some of the things that helped me cope with my stress are extracurricular activities. Parents, you might know how ASIJ offers so many after school activities, and whether or not they are outside or inside of school, having to engage in extracurricular activities has really helped me cope with my stress. And this relates to following passions. For parents, it's significant to encourage your children to engage in activities that they really enjoy, and for them to not feel obligated to do something that they would not enjoy. And next, we have talking to trusted adults. As students get older, it gets more difficult for them to open up with their emotions if they do not maintain a comfortable and talkative relationships with their parents, especially. So, you know that at ASIJ we offer high school counseling, and that's a really good opportunity for students to practice talking to trusted adults. And then next we have eating healthy. So in the previous slide, Diane explained how once a student falls into depression or high level of anxiety, they tend to eat less, and this might come off to parents as concerning at first, but it's important to remind your child that they can take their time to get back on track, because it's a very sensitive topic. So it's significant to not rush them or make them uncomfortable with how they eat. And then last but not least, we have nature. As for me, surrounding myself with nature has become one of the main coping mechanisms for my stress. For example, I could walk my dog around the park near my house, or just walk outside and have some fresh air, and it has decreased my stress levels a lot, so I would recommend these coping mechanisms.
So this is the advice to parents, but parents can help your teenager to get more sleep by sticking to a plan that they set up to get a recommended amount of sleep. And another piece of advice is to be supportive after your support for dealing with the stress of being a teenager.
After everybody discussed their part, based on all of the context covered today, what will you use and discuss with your child this week?
So let's give a big round of applause to our students. Taking 5 minutes to discuss this last question, but we also have our counselors here. We have Ms. Friend in the back in the green shirt. We have Ms. Hopwood down here, and Mr. Meehan as for if you want to talk to one of the 3-level division counselors here. Thank you for coming. Thank you, students. Great job. And discuss this lesson.